in their 63rd season. It's happened! The Texas Rangers win the World Series!
The Rangers have won the World Series! Ranger fans, you're not dreaming!
On November 1st, 2023, the Texas Rangers finally claimed their spot at the top of the MLB. After many long years of suffering and tested patience, loyal Rangers fans could finally rejoice, knowing that at long last they had reached the pinnacle of baseball. But how did they get there? What was the journey like from start to finish? And now that they've won, where do they go now? The Texas Rangers franchise was established in 1961 as the Washington Senators in Washington, D.C. However, by the early 1970s, things like financial struggles, poor game attendance, and the need for a stronger market led to owner Bob Short relocating to Arlington, Texas. In the 1972 season, the franchise was renamed the Texas Rangers, drawing inspiration from the historic Texas Law Enforcement Agency. This marked a new chapter for the franchise, establishing themselves in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex for good. For decades, the Rangers' performance was inconsistent and mediocre at best. It wasn't until 1996, their 25th year in Arlington, that they finally finished first in their division and made the playoffs. Sadly, a powerhouse Yankees team led by rookie Derek Jeter awaited them in the first round, and before long, their best season to date came to an end. Unfortunately, this was a sight that Rangers fans would just have to get used to. Following an underwhelming season in 1997, the Rangers would get swept in the ALDS by the Yankees 2 years in a row, with their loss in 1999 completing a 95-win season, their best ever at the time. This trend of close but not quite would continue to define the Rangers franchise. Though they were improving greatly and finally making a name for themselves, they could never quite get over the hump and finish the job. For the next 10 years, the Rangers faded back into relative obscurity, having only 2 winning seasons in that time and 0 first-place finishes in their division. That is, until 2010 came around. In 2010, the Rangers finished with 90 wins, good enough for first place in the AL West and third in the American League, earning them a playoff spot. This was a team led by guys like Elvis Andrus, Alex Cora, Nelson Cruz, Chris Davis, Jeff Francoeur, Vladimir Guerrero Sr., Derek Holland, Ian Kinsler, Cliff Lee, Mitch Moreland, Darren O'Day, Jared Saltalamacchia, Justin Smoke, Michael Young, and most importantly, 2010 AL MVP Josh Hamilton, who hit .359 with 32 home runs in his 2010 campaign. Rangers fans everywhere completely bought into the hype, convinced that this was the team of destiny that would finally lead them to the promised land. However, in a sight all too familiar for Rangers fans, the team just could not finish the job. After beating the Rays and the Yankees on their way to the World Series, they proceeded to get disassembled by the Giants in 5 games, suffering yet another brutal end to an otherwise incredible season. I wish I could say it stopped there, but 1 year removed from their crushing runner-up finish in the World Series, the Rangers proceeded to put up their best season of all time, winning 96 games in the regular season en route to their second consecutive World Series appearance. They made quick work of the Rays and the Tigers in rounds 1 and 2 of the playoffs before coming face-to-face with the St. Louis Cardinals in the World Series. The series was a back-and-forth affair, and after playing the first 2 games in St. Louis and the next 3 games in Arlington, the Rangers were headed back to St. Louis, only 1 win away from their first World Series title in franchise history. That is, until David Freese decided they weren't done yet.
Into right, well hit. Back at the wall, it's off the wall. 1 run scores. Here comes Berkman. Freese has tied it. 7-7. Unbelievable.
In the 9th inning, when they were down to their last strike, the Cardinals' third baseman hit a rocket to right field, clearing Nelson Cruz's glove by merely inches and driving home the 2 tying runs. 2 innings later, after these heroics, Freese hit a walk-off home run to send the series to a winner-take-all Game 7 the next night. The Rangers, shocked by Freeze's unbelievable performance and the drastic momentum shift that followed, were unable to recover the next night, causing them to lose their second consecutive World Series. It was after this that Rangers fans began to seriously wonder, will we ever get to see the Rangers sit atop the baseball world? Thankfully, in 2023, everything changed. The Rangers finally made it back to the World Series, and instead of letting the moment get to them, they found a way to finish the job, defeating the Arizona Diamondbacks to win their first World Series title in franchise history. After 63 years of waiting, it felt bigger than just baseball. Fans showed up and showed out, filling stadiums, packing watch parties, and celebrating the victory all across Texas. It wasn't just a win, it was a release of decades of pent-up emotion. All that loyalty and patience had finally paid off in the biggest way imaginable. I would be remiss if I didn't mention how fan experiences correlate to research about fandom. In order to take a closer look at more specific fan experiences, we've compiled footage of Rangers fans who not only share with us their fan experiences, but also share with us their hearts for the Rangers and the community they have forged. We will also use articles that connect these fan experiences to scholarly research. Our first research article, written by Bristow and Sebastian, details die-hard Chicago Cubs fans who exhibit strong emotional and behavioral commitment to their team through things like childhood exposure, higher game attendance, more merchandise purchases, and greater knowledge of the sport. Statistics from this study showed that 90.3% of die-hard Cubs fans either watched or listened to the games as a kid, and remained steady fans of the team even through poor performance and years of struggling. Two other articles we found echo a similar idea while also expanding on it by providing original insights. One of these articles, written by Norris, Juan, and Zapalak, mentions maximizing sport fans, which are sport fans who focus primarily on being the best and most loyal fans regardless of wins and losses. These are fans that share a strong sense of social identity not only with the team they follow, but with their fellow fans. The other article, written by Fisher and Wakefield, explores group identification within fandoms. They find that individuals derive strength and a sense of identity from their connections to social groups, and that a fan's identity does not come from a team's successes or failures, but from their own connections to other people in the same group. However, Fisher and Wakefield also make the discovery that stronger identification with the group leads the individual to experience vicariously the successes and failures of the group. So, while the successes and failures of a team do not define whether or not a person is a fan of that team, they are able to impact the emotions a person feels about the team they support. Let's take a look at how Kelly and Jake echo these same results through their own experiences.
If the Rangers are losing a game, does that affect your attitude?
Yeah, I'd say so. Doesn't make me less of a Rangers fan, it makes me a more upset Rangers fan.
How do you feel the team's highs and lows affect fan loyalty and identification?
I know there's some bandwagon fans out there for sure, but I think I think due to their success and just the love that the community has for them, I think that they've got a pretty good cult following.
I've been a Rangers fan pretty much my entire life, but I really became a diehard around 2010, and the Rangers were in the playoffs against the Tampa Bay Rays. And at the time, I lived in St. Petersburg, Florida, which is where the Rays, their stadium is. So everybody at my school was super pumped up about the series. They're all wearing their Rays gear. And me being the kid that was born in Texas, moved to Florida when I was about 9 years old, and we only lived out there for a couple years. But I had Texas pride, so I became a big Rangers fan, just kind of wanting to be different and, show them that, the Rangers are better than the Rays. It seems that a lot more people are engaged when the team is doing really good, and for obvious reasons, that's your typical bandwagon fan. But, the Rangers still have a very strong core that even when they're doing bad, those people will still be there.
As you can see, both Kelly and Jake make mention of bandwagon fans that only stick around when things go well, and how true fans are loyal even in the bad times. Also, while Kelly makes mention of how his emotions are impacted by the Rangers' performance, Jake talks about childhood experience that he had with the Rangers that led to him becoming a diehard fan. Our next article deals with escapism in sport. While it is true that Kelly and Jake do not typically use sport as an escape from everyday life, these ideas are still somewhat present in their interviews. The article on escapism, written by Ostakova, Leonard, Doty, Yang, and Yu, expresses the idea that fans with harmonious passion use sports as a healthy break from life, while those with obsessive passion use it to avoid real-life problems. Let's see how this idea is conveyed by Kelly.
Now, I know that you got to go to the World Series game in 2023. What was that like?
That was the most amazing game I ever went to. So watching the walk-off in game one, it was amazing. Yeah, I was there with my dad and my brother and my wife, so it was pretty neat.
Now, while this is not a textbook example of escapism, we can still see how Kelly was able to take a break from everyday life to enjoy a Rangers game with the people he's closest with, reflecting a more harmonious passion. Our last article has to do with verbal aggression in sport. This article, written by Rocca and Vogelbauer, presents the idea that heavily identified fans are more likely to be verbally aggressive to the opposition. While Jake does not make mention of any experiences involving verbal aggression, he does shout out Section 133, which is a group of young and rowdy Rangers fans who make their presence felt at Rangers games. These fans are heavily identified with the Rangers, and while there is no evidence of verbal aggression from these fans, it is a possibility given their identification. Meanwhile, Kelly claims to be a die-hard Rangers fan, and while it doesn't lead to verbal aggression, it does lead to this moment in his interview.
Who are the Rangers' biggest rivals, and do you hate them as much as the Rangers do?
Hate's a strong word, so I'll choose a word besides hate, even though I don't know what that word is. But yeah, absolutely. The Astros, can't stand them.
My professor really likes the Astros.
Well, sorry.
Sorry, Dr. R.
Thankfully, verbal aggression seems to be a more rare trait in sport, as fans can find other things to identify with outside of their favorite team. The opportunity to be a fan is one of the greatest privileges we have as sport consumers in our day and age. Through Fandom, we can make lifelong connections with people, enjoy our favorite teams and players together, and achieve a sense of belonging with those same people. Because that's what Fandom is all about, belonging. It's not about how much better one's team is when compared to the rest, or how one's team has the richest traditions in history. It's about sticking with each other through the good and the bad seasons. It's about supporting and encouraging one another when all hope seems to be lost. And most of all, it's about taking time to celebrate and bask in your team's glory with others, enjoying every second of the good while being thankful in the bad that we live in a world where we can be more than consumers. We can be fans.